Hello, hello. Welcome back to Trading Weekly after our 4 or 5 week hiatus. I can't even remember now.
For
You've been
4 weeks.
away.
It's been 1 month exactly.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I've been away for the first part of that section, and then Kaye was away for the second part. So we thought we'd just take pretty much the whole of November off, and we'll get into kind of what's happened in November and all of that jazz a little bit later on. But obviously, make sure you give us a subscribe if you are watching on YouTube. We really do appreciate it. Massive thank you to Wolf and actually the platform. We couldn't do without you as always. And of course, we are just a couple of guys on the internet looking at charts, giving our thoughts and perspectives on each stock as they come. So it is not financial advice. Just a couple of guys having fun, should we say? And obviously, make sure you put your audience requests in the comments down below as well. And we'll get to that a little bit later on, probably about 15, 20 minutes or so. Once we get through all the kind of meat and potatoes of the market in the last, I don't know, month or so. But how are you doing, Kate? I mean, it's been a while. We've kept in contact, obviously, but tell the viewers what you've been up to in the last month or so, roughly.
Yeah, so I was in China. I visited Shenzhen. So I went to the Shenzhen Stock Exchange. I saw the stock exchange. Then I was in Shanghai. I didn't get a chance to go to that stock exchange, but yeah. So saw a lot of interesting things. I saw the drone delivery of how drones are used to
Okay.
deliver products. I saw the 10-minute delivery. There's a company called Meituan. They deliver products to your doorsteps in 15, 20 minutes, any time of the day. I saw the food delivery, uh, pretty massive. I did post a couple of things over there on the Luckin coffee. So Starbucks can learn few things from Luckin. Um, I saw the efficiency in terms of the train rides and the ticketing system and all that. So it was a very interesting learning experience. And then I was in Singapore, so I have some thoughts on Grab as well, because I experienced Grab. So a lot of folks here who have never been to that part of the world or they have not used those services actually the Chinese version, which is the Meituan, is probably the grandfather of Grab, and there are big distinct differences between those two companies, but um, Grab a lot. The positive intent of Grab, and I think I start to understand because I was able to see it real time. It's not perfect. There were a lot of hiccups, especially if you don't set up the account right, but it works, especially on those areas. Now, would you be able to replicate in US? Not with the labor force, because the labor force is very expensive here. So
Hmm.
that kind of a service is very difficult to replicate unless you can do autonomous robots are delivering 24 by 7. So
So
that's
perhaps it stays in Asia for now. I used Grab back in 2019 when I went to Bangkok, and
okay.
yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
So I have nothing to grumble about it. Perhaps it's maybe had a few complications in its growth, but doesn't everyone?
And then one interesting other thing that I forgot was the electric vehicles. It
Mm.
was crazy to see in China just the sheer number of EVs.
Loads of them, yeah.
And you might not like this, but compared to Neo, BYD was all over the place. Like every other car or every third car was a BYD. And BYD actually has two type of cars. One is BYD, which is just the acronym BYD, and then one is a Build Your Dreams, which they when it's Build Your Dreams, it's like a cheaper version, versus the BYD is much more expensive version. So those, like, even the cheaper cars are amazing, like the way they have built those cars. So lot of BYDs, lot of Zeekr on the roads. um,
Okay, yeah.
not as many Neos I saw. I did see a couple of Neos showrooms, but not as many Neos on the road. There were few Xiaomi's. Xiaomi's is still pretty brand new, so a lot of folks don't like it that much. A lot of Xpengs, Li Auto, a lot of interesting designs on the road. That very futuristic designs for the cars. Just normal routine over there, and yeah, that was my experience for 2.5 weeks over there.
Sounds like a very busy 2.5 weeks for you over there. No, great stuff to hear. We'll jump into the slideshow now. So let's jump into what we're in December now. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then we have Justin. Welcome back, Justin. We'll get the Google and QQQ.
Yeah, we've got a comment here. Obviously, hey guys, Google or QQQ, as Kay just mentioned there. Welcome back again, Justin. This time on X. Normally you're on YouTube, so welcome to X. You've probably had it already before, but yeah, welcome to watching it on here. Yeah, so market overview for last week, not so much the last month. Unless it is the last month or not. No, we didn't do the last month, did we? But for the last week, we've
I
got.
forgot. I didn't. I forgot again. No, we didn't do last month. The weekly.
That's all right. People only care about the last week anyway. So Nvidia up almost 2%, and then we've got kind of a few flat stocks: Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, all kind of up or down within that kind of 1% mark. And you've got Tesla just above your head there, up 6.66%, which on the chart I posted up on X at the beginning of the week, around about kind of a breakout from a bear bull flag. Sorry, perhaps we can have a little bit look at that a little bit later on. Yeah, any stocks that kind of point off the page here for you?
Um, no, I think I have just been very disappointed with Nvidia. Has been pretty much flat. If you notice, like from the last couple months now, it's been like in this 175 to 195 range, and then keeps bouncing off. I know it's great for option selling, but it's just like being stuck in this zone for a while.
Yeah, and that's interesting because they're the biggest part of the S&P, aren't they? Right,
Yeah.
biggest company in the world. So, and the S&P's kind of traded flat since we last spoke. It's come down a little bit. It's come back up a bit, of course, as it does. But you would expect that if Nvidia gets that push up forward, then that might be the next leg up for Spy, potentially moving forward. I did actually forget about Meta, up almost 6%. So they actually did really well this week.
Yeah, I think that was based on the news, right? That they are cutting down on their what is that, metaverse? Like the 30% they'll be cutting down the expenses on metaverse. So
Okay,
that
right.
basically translates to what, 5, 6 something, some $1 billion that will go straight to the bottom line of Meta. So that was one of the reasons why the stock got pushed up almost 6%.
Yeah, I mean, the previous price action before that's obviously not so good for Meta, so it'd be interesting to see if they can continue that momentum to kind of come back up. While we're on this page, actually, we've got Palantir up 8%, Salesforce up 14%. I don't even know what this one is, but that's up 17%, and
Is that
Oracle as well.
App Applovian, something
Up
like that?
11, yeah,
Applovian?
that sounds about right. So quite a few tech stocks basically doing quite well, apart from obviously Google and Microsoft.
The big ones, yeah, the
Um,
big ones have
yeah,
been pretty muted. And the big news we actually heard about Netflix acquiring Warner Brothers.
yes, I saw that. That's massive. Obviously not for a little while. The details had to be kind of ironed out, but yeah, that would be interesting to see for sure. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide then, which is the fear and greed index. We're sitting at 40, which let's have a look. 1 month ago at 29. So actually, since we were last on the stream, we were in fear, just a little bit lower. That's all.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, sounds about right. Kind of we went down for a bit, up a bit, haven't really moved. So kind of staying at fear kind of makes sense to me. And the big number, obviously, for last week is probably QQQ up almost 2%. Doesn't feel like that, but that's where we ended up for. Do you want to talk through some of the bits on the left there? Okay.
Yeah, I think the put to call, because I was updating this deck from last month, the put to call is pretty much has been flat. It was 0.67 when we last presented, and it's now 0.66, so not much change. VIX was also pretty flat in these last few weeks. Key events. There's actually a lot of key events. One is the Jolt's job opening. Then you'll have, I think, another unemployment numbers coming out on Wednesday or Thursday. I think Thursday probably. Then you have the interest rate decision. So Jerome Powell is going to come out on Wednesday. It's probably going to be a rate cut. I don't know. What do you think? 25 basis point or 50 basis point? What's your take?
I mean, Jerome being Jerome, it'll be 25, won't it? I think just because
20,
he's more kind of a slow and steady.
yeah,
Donald Trump probably would have had -2 points, two
yeah.
whole points at this rate, but
I think I'll go with 25 as well. And then of course, his tenure is coming to an end. So I think this could tilt. This could be the turnaround for the market that they were looking for. That once the rate cuts are announced, and now you have the new Fed chair, which is going to be, I think, Kevin Hassett. I think that's the name they have been throwing around. He's a funny guy who always is always they're always smiling. He'll be the new Fed chair. I think starting mid year next year. I think June or July. So I think after this rate cut, folks are pretty much going to be looking forward, future looking, and then hopefully that turns the market around. At least we can come back to the neutral and heading towards the greed. That's what I guess the market is looking for.
yeah, and I think it's important to say that obviously we mentioned obviously 4 weeks ago that's where the fear and greed index was, but it has actually come all the way down to kind of I think 10, 11 at some points. So it has kind of come down to this sort of area and then kind of pushed back up. So perhaps it's kind of correcting itself, reversion to the mean type situation. Perhaps we can go to kind of greed and extreme greed over the next couple of months or so, and then that's when we evaluate our portfolios and potentially take some profits, etc. Which is the standard procedure when you're looking at the fear and greed index, at least from a long-term investing point of view. Perhaps maybe not on the short-term trading. We'll move on to the upcoming earnings. We've got a few bigger names. We've got Oracle here Wednesday after the close. Same with Adobe. I know a couple of people like those sorts of names. And of course, we've got Lululemon, which I know is one of your stocks. What are your thoughts behind Lululemon at the moment?
I think we need to see Lululemon because it hasn't shown real progress in the last 3 quarters. So we really want to see from Lululemon is, are we seeing growth flattening, or have they been able to turn the corner? So if we see some good momentum on that, because this one is still for the third quarter result. So the next result will tell you the fourth quarter result. But we really want to see if Lululemon has the change in their collections, has that spurred more interest in folks buying Lululemon. People keep saying, hey, there's competition, but there's always weak competition, right? There's not a single brand that you won't have competition. The other one I will watch is Broadcom, which is also reporting on Thursday, um, above Lululemon, and Costco, which is the bellwether for consumer as well. So those are a couple names.
Yeah, and we're coming to the end of earnings season now, aren't we? It seems mad to believe that's over already. But don't worry, there'll be another one in about a month or so. While we're here, sitting on this slide here, make sure you put your tickers in the comments. We've had a few, but obviously I know we've been away for a little bit of time, so maybe you don't know we're on today. But we are back. We're back with a bang. Of course, we've got put your tickets requests in the comments. I'm a bit rusty, of course. We're both a bit rusty. We've both been on holiday, so what can we say? Eh?
Yeah.
But yeah, put your ticket requests in the comments, and we'll get to them very shortly. Actually, about the pace we're getting through this stream. We've got a couple of charts on the screen here now. The first charts of the day, the first charts of the month as well. So on the left, we've got SPY. I don't know where the names have gone, but they must be at the top somewhere. We've got the SPY daily on the left, and then we've got the QQQ weekly on the right. So I've drawn this box here, and that's basically since we left. So we haven't actually really moved. We've just gone from there to there. There's a bit of fear in the middle. Obviously, this big red candle was not so nice, but it basically just mimicked this red candle, which I thought was really interesting, back in early October. So these two candles are pretty much identical. So you can see, especially going forward, on the SPY, this level of probably 652, 653 is a really good, strong point of support. So if we do, come down in the future and we do break that, perhaps we do break that quite viciously. Just a kind of a note for anyone kind of watching there. But for the time being, I think we just kind of continue plugging up. I mean, the market's done really well the last couple of weeks. There is one tiny little gap there, I believe. I didn't put the gaps on today. So just be aware of that gap if we do get a bit of a pullback. Also, before I let Kaye in, so if you drew a line from the top here across these highs, I don't know why I didn't put it on the chart. We have actually had a recent trend line breakout. So, more upside to come, in my opinion, but it will be tough to get through that all-time high for sure. Anything you want to add to these charts here on the screen?
No, I think what we want to really see is, after the rate cut announcement, how does the S&P 500 really take that as a
Yeah.
news? Because the labor market is still softening, and based on all the experts we are hearing is, by the time you will get those major rate cuts next year, labor market will be in much more jeopardy. Um, but let's see, what Jerome Powell actually in his last 6 months is able to pull it off for us. Also, Tom Lee had predicted that we'll hit 7,000 on S&P. So we'll see if that is still possible, because it only takes few sessions for the sentiment to
Yeah.
turn down. It's not going to
Yeah. I
take
mean,
weeks. Yeah.
as soon as we get over neutral, that's when things start getting a bit frothy, and people go, "Oh, actually, I'm going to keep buying." But I would be careful of the kind of January 1st. Sometimes you get that kind of initial, oh, it's January, I'm going to sell off and blah, blah, blah. So we might get a bit of euphoria in the next couple of weeks, but yeah, we'll see. As Kay said, um, it's looking positive for now, but just be wary, of course. But yeah, that's interesting. You might wonder why I've got a slightly different chart, and that's because I'm doing Christmas themed charts for the whole of December. Unfortunately, I didn't add the tree today, but you'll see it later. Don't worry.
Listen, I mean, we are a little rusty, so next week we'll be in a much better swing.
Okay, we'll move on then. I think we're going to do. We might softly mention it now, but I think we're going to do kind of a picks for next year, aren't we? At some point.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I mean, how many weeks are left here? We actually have to do a recap for this year on our picks, right? How did our picks perform this year? And then we
yeah,
have to do a pick for next year. So that we'll do it on the same stream, I guess.
so maybe we can. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe we could do the kind of the what's it called, the review of the picks that we had this year on the
Mm.
21st
Okay.
or the 28th. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that behind the closed doors. But I mean, if you have any ideas in the comments, put them in. And if you want to see multiple picks, put that in the comments as well. Because at the moment, we're just going to do one pick for the years we've done in the past. But if you want multiple picks, then put it in the comments and we'll take that feedback and move on with that.
Yeah.
But we've got the slideshow on the slide on the screen now. You can find me obviously on X and YouTube. I'm releasing lots of videos throughout December. Obviously, all around trading, all trading evergreen videos to help you out with your trading journeys. And also psychological journeys as well. I try and put as much psychological information in there as possible as well. So go ahead and follow me over on those two platforms. Where can we find you then, okay?
Oh, similar on Twitter, YouTube, and Substack. There will be so my top 5 stocks for 2025. I think it's on Twitter. It's a pinned tweet. I did a lot of videos on those stocks as well, starting the whole of this year. So I'm going to do more recaps on the performance of those stocks. And after we announce the picks, then I'll do the similar style videos on the full stock analysis for the 2026 picks as well. So make sure you subscribe there. Substack will start to focus a little bit more on the asymmetrical plays, which I think there are starting to be a lot more
Yeah.
asymmetrical plays that generally we don't mention sometimes, because unless if it may or may not be retail favorites, but those are asymmetrical plays, and especially for stocks that are like down 50, 60, 70%, right? Those are asymmetrical plays.
And I think why we don't mention them here on these streams is because it requires a little bit more detail, a little bit more attention, a little bit more analysis. And we can provide that more in our YouTube and Substack platforms. So that's why we do that. And that's why we don't really mention it too much on stream. So go ahead and follow Kay for those kind of supplies. I don't even know what the right word is. Content. There you go. Content. I guess, and kind of ideas and for the future, etc. So at InvestK for Twitter, YouTube, and obviously Substack. I'm still calling it Twitter even now. Let's move on to the next slide. What I've done is something a bit interesting. So I picked Neo in the last stream, which is obviously over a month ago now,
Yeah.
and you picked SMCI. So I thought I'd just do the price action or the result for the last month. So Neo was down 26% and SMCI was down 12%, but you win.
I won.
Yeah. So you're not going to win the year because not enough weeks left.
Yes.
But you made a valiant effort to return because you've just done what, 5 out of 6 weeks? That's pretty impressive, Kay.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit of fun that we do. Obviously, this week will be a little bit different because it'll be just 1 week's price action. Let's see if I can get one on the board before the end of the year. Okay, we'll move on then to the next slide, which is my chart of the day, and that is Amazon with the little Christmas tree there. So I told you I'm doing Christmas themed charts. Very simply, I think we've just been trading flat for probably about 6 months or so now, and I think, given everything that's happened, we had a really good earnings report recently as well. That's this gap up here. We've had a bit of a drop down, obviously, with the market, etc. But I think it might be a bit excessive. We've come down to this volume profile. There's a reason why I don't have any lines or anything like that on this chart. It's because I think there's 2 indicators on here that could be enough. And obviously the big one here is the volume. It could come back down to kind of 220, 223, that sort of area, because this is the biggest spike of volume. But this whole section here is enough for me to warrant. There's a lot of support there, a lot of thought behind buying there. You've got the EMA cloud as well, kind of coming through. That's just basically a mix of all the moving averages kind of coming through, but in the clouds, it gives you a bit more of a general representation of the trend. So we've kind of got that floating around here. Obviously, it's not perfect as you can see, but you can see generally it does tell the trend going in the right direction. So yeah, I'm going to keep it nice and simple this week. I just want it to obviously continue going up, and then kind of move towards kind of all-time highs as we've kind of recently been. So yeah, any thoughts on Amazon? I know you like Amazon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Amazon, I've built a lot of position on Amazon in the ranges of 200 to 220. It's a little disappointing that, among all the Max 7, and we talked about Google for a long time before all the gurus came on X, and now everybody is an expert on Google and how it's the greatest company, since the sliced bread. But anyways, I think Amazon has been lagging in that respect, and we haven't really seen that, um, the run up close to the all time highs of 258, which was, I guess, when back in early November. So I'm really hoping that Amazon can actually turn this around a little bit, and we can start to see those new all time highs for Amazon, considering it's such a massive business, and they are still the leaders in the cloud space. They are still showing strength in their retail business, and especially with the Q4, I think when they report the earnings next time around for the Q4, I think that's going to really show how Amazon's retail business is doing, apart from their cloud and AI and all that stuff. But I think this is still undervalued in terms of the growth, and this is one of the least. This is one of the only remaining plays left in Max 7 that is, where you can actually build your position before it goes to the all-time highs. Because the problem is, you don't build position at all-time highs. You
No,
build when it's actually you're getting a discount.
exactly. I think Kane hit the nail on the head there for the rounding off the Amazon there. We both like it, that's for sure. And we'll see what happens in a week's time, and obviously beyond that as well. And again, this is more of a pick for kind of general future, kind of next maybe 5 to 6 months, breaking all time high, that kind of thing. But of course, we will track the data for next week. But moving on, we'll go to Kay's pick of the week, which is of course Rivian.
Yeah,
I like Rivian. You like Rivian? Take it away, Kay.
yeah. Too many lines, too many, stuff going on, but just ignore all the lines for now. Basically, the story behind Rivian is Rivian's new Autonomy Day is coming up next week. I think it's on Wednesday or Thursday. I forget the day. I think it's on 11th, whichever days that is. And what they're going to showcase is how autonomy, if they have not full self-driving, but what are the different autonomous capabilities their vehicles will have, especially the gen 2 vehicles. Now, electric vehicles have generally been quiet for the last, I guess, couple quarters, especially after the expiration of the EV credits in the US. We really haven't seen much going on. Elon Musk has been at the forefront of kind of sort of destroying the EV brand because of his involvement with the government, and then taking a step back, finally coming back to Tesla. But EV in general has not been very hard because folks have been focusing a lot more on the AI aspect, robotics, or autonomy, but not on the EV car per se. Now, Rivian is finally releasing a mass market vehicle next year, and this autonomy. Now, the key to this is that the stock was, in the low tens, mid teens, and this is where a lot of people have started build their portfolio or build their positions with Rivian. So technically, we are already up 60-70% from that onwards, especially if you have calls. So with the autonomy, there are only two ways it can go. Either they showcase that their tech is is as good, or not. I don't think it's going to be better than Tesla, but it's going to be as good as Tesla from when they presented the autonomy day back in what, 2018, 2019, when they did their first autonomy day with Model 3, I think. So if they showcase that they are somewhere in that ballpark, I think we could see a leg up, a breakout here for Rivian. If the news is okay, it's great, but it's not as good as what it was presented by Tesla back in 2018, 2019, we could see a sell off. So the way I'm at least playing this one, and this is specifically for this particular week when they will announce the autonomy, is I have actually bought puts here that as an insurance hedge. So I have already built my position on Rivian. So I'm happy if the stock runs up. My calls will make more money. However, if we see a sell the news event, those puts are basically insurance hedge to give me some payback. Otherwise, if you haven't really built anything, I would just sit out and wait for Rivian to present what it is. But I think the real game changer for Rivian is the mass market vehicle that's going to come out next year.
Yeah, and that was announced in 2024, and we all thought, okay, that's a bit of a distance, but all of a sudden, here we are in
Yeah.
2026.
And I
Oh, near
believe
enough.
and I believe they are going to open the configurator in January. So
Oh, wow.
basically, the
Okay.
configurator is, for folks who don't know, is for anybody who has put a reservation in, they will get an email to start configuring their vehicle, whatever configuration you want for the launch edition. And then whenever your turn will be there, they'll send you an email that, hey, you can go ahead and buy the vehicle.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting year for well, I say interesting. It's going to be yeah, it will be interesting year for Rivian in 2026 because, like we mentioned, all these vehicles are coming out. There's 2 vehicles or 3 vehicles, something like that, and obviously the plant as well that's being built in I
In
forget where it is,
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if that kind of develops nicely as well. So yeah, I mean, we do have a bit of a technical breakout as well potentially happening. So if you drew a line from this peak across all the peaks, and of course we saw a little bit of resistance on Friday, but that's natural after about 10 days straight of going up. But if we could break out of that line, I mean, that would be ideal, especially with the news event on Thursday you mentioned, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
Um,
think so. Yes, it's
yeah.
Thursday 11th. Yes.
No, I'm very excited about Rivian for 2026, that's for sure. But yeah, we'll see how that performs. Thank you for bringing that one up, Kay. I'm sure lots of other people will be thankful you did that as well. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's also flying under the radar for many folks. I mean, this is because every time Rivian is brought up, most people's reaction is, well, it was $180 stock, and yeah, but most people are not buying the stock at 180, right? That was an IPO price. Most
mm,
stocks open high on IPO, and then they pretty much come down to the earth.
yeah, they start to mature and kind of come back down to the valuation, etc., down to the fundamentals. So yeah,
Right.
it kind of rolls out nicely, especially like Airbnb and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's worth that when a company comes out an IPO, just wait 6 months. That's my normal rule. I've done that with quite a few stocks. But yeah, no, thank you for being on. Okay, we'll move on now to the charts that we've got for today. We'll stick that up on the screen while I'm here. So anyone watching at the moment, obviously make sure you put your ticket request in the comments. We've only had a few today. Obviously, not many people know that we're back, which is fair enough. If not, we'll just fly through some of the kind of the hot stocks, maybe the Mag 7. But yeah, go ahead and put them in the chat or comment section. Right, let's get this chart sorted. Right, here we go. What's first up on the chart then?
It's Google.
Okay, so Google's been flying recently, hasn't it? Basically, since the turn of the year, obviously, we had a dip in April, like many other stocks.
Listen, man, Google was my top 5 picks for the year. We have been talking about Google since last year.
So it's currently sitting at 67% up on the year, which is mad, isn't it? For stock for a while though, it didn't really look like it was going to move. So obviously, it's been trailing up nicely up until kind of September, and everyone was like, oh, "Okay, so it's got to kind of trade flat on the year, blah blah blah." And all of a sudden, we get one. I guess it's some sort of news event. It wasn't earnings, but some sort of news events here. And since then, it's just gone parabolic, essentially, especially for a Mag 7 stock. Doing really well, really, really well. I imagine you're very happy at the moment with your Google position. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I imagine you're very happy with your
Oh,
Google
yeah, yeah,
position.
absolutely. I'm very happy on the Google position, and I think for the folks, what I'll say is that Amazon will probably see something similar, in the coming quarters. So this is the time that you build on your positions.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so well, I'm not too sure, but we can add with technical analysis because it's trading at all-time highs. It's hard to kind of do any tier at these levels. And I did have, I don't know if it's still here actually.
I mean, if you're really looking at trading, at a very if you're trying to sell options, I can give you the range where you could. I mean, you can trade between 314, 320. That's a good range because you have a very big volume shelf at that level. But there is a little gap between 309 and 304. And then you would, yeah. So if you really want to do the wheel strategy, that would be the area that I would target. But
Yeah,
that's a
that
V.
gap
Yeah,
that gap is on the screen there, as Kay just mentioned. I think
yeah.
that sort of area. But yeah, I mean, congratulations if you're in it. There's a bit of a mini bull flag breakout there potentially. That's happening now, just there.
Mm,
So it could be potential more upside. We've got a lot of volume actually at this level, considering how little movement there is here. But I'm guessing it's just been trading within itself for a couple of weeks now. So that's obviously why the concentration volume is quite high there. So yeah, potentially another push up here, maybe towards that kind of 350 mark before the end of the year, potentially.
yeah, I think that's very possible, and you get decent premiums. The IV is not that high either, which means that the movement is not going to be that volatile or that you know aggressive move. So pretty much is going to be, if you choose the right delta for selling options, I think you can probably run a wheel strategy on Google for a while.
Hmm. Okay, we'll move on then
Next is
to.
GSAT. I've never heard this talk before. It's called Globestar. Global
I think
Star.
we have spoken about this in the past. I think, yeah, long time ago.
Okay, so this is communication services. Oh, they have mobile satellite services in US, Canada, Europe, Central and South America, and internationally. I mean, they could just say internationally. Why do they need to write US, Canada, Europe, Central and South America? And just redundant. Just write you internationally. That's it.
I've forgotten my glasses, so if you see me doing this, that's why. Um, you can see actually massive resistance is obviously since broken out, but massive resistance around 41.69. Came back down and retested it. This is the weekly chart, by the way, if anyone watching. Come back down and retested it and absolutely flown since then. It's difficult to buy at these levels, if I'm honest. Let's go into the daily and see what's going on here. So there is a gap on the daily, which is way back when. That must be ages and ages ago. There's a
That
gap to fill that sort of area, so potentially that might bring a bit of drawdown
yeah,
temporarily.
that's from 11/7, so almost a month back.
All right, that's this gap down here, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one.
So there's actually a previous gap as well. If you can see the red shaded area, that's a gap fill from way back in the past. But we don't know what that is. So yeah, I mean, GSAT is going very well. I'd be hesitant to buy it here just because of the most recent price actions we've just mentioned. Let's draw a trend line, perhaps.
And the other observation that I'm noticing is that at least in the last since October end, this has been hugging the 50 SMA and has been bouncing off the 50 SMA every time it hits the 50 SMA.
Okay, so it likes that, does it? I don't know if I have them on here at the moment.
Because you use EMA, right? Most of the times.
Most of the time, I've switched to this cloud thing now,
Oh, okay.
um, just because it's more of a general kind of trend.
Got it. Okay.
It's easier on the smaller time frames. I've got this on. Maybe if I switch it to the swing, that might be better for today at least. Yeah, so that would be better for this session.
See?
So yeah, so this is the 20 moving average. The 50 moving average is the blue one, and the 200 is the red one. So you're talking about the 50 moving average, aren't you?
Sorry, 20, not
Or
not
20, yeah. So 20 has been following really nicely, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So the top of that cloud that you just saw will be the 20.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, awesome. Okay, we'll go through maybe some big stocks while we're here.
So so how about how about we start with Netflix actually?
Okay, yeah. Maybe we can pick some stocks that we're quite interested in a moment. How about that?
Yeah, because I think Netflix, after the stock split, a stock chat during NFL. Oh, well.
That's my fault. I'm in the UK, so I can't help that.
No, but
I'm
we do
afraid.
this every Sunday, so it's NFL just happens to be at the same time. So I think now it's interesting with not NFL, sorry, Netflix is um, that finally we can actually trade options on Netflix after the stock split.
Yeah.
And I think for folks, if you are looking to get into Netflix, I think we'll still wait. I think what I'm looking at, I have this zone from 94 to 100, and that is the zone I want the stock to actually come back to at least 94 before I would like to initiate a position.
The 94 to 100 is that box there that Kay
Yeah,
mentions?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's not a huge amount of volume there. I mean, there
No,
probably is, but
not
at
a
least
huge volume, but we have a very decent support at the 94. If you draw that line, um, that with the range, it'll make me interested in actually getting into Netflix.
that 94 level there is that kind
Yeah,
of white line there. This is the weekly chart, and I was just thinking about drawing a trend line. I suppose you could draw it from here, from there, and then obviously from the next touch point, which is probably this most vicious one here. You've also got, I don't know, it's kind of almost that. So it looks like it's kind of almost breaking the trend. So yeah, I would look for this for continued downside more towards the kind of 94 levels Kay just mentioned. You could even come down to that kind of 92 because you've got that price action down here as well. But
exactly.
anywhere in that sort of area, maybe 90 to 95 would be a good position
Yeah,
to start a position potentially, just on hypothetical there.
yeah, but
Yeah.
because now Netflix is at least in, because a lot of folks I know that when the stocks are in high triple digits or touching four digits, yes, you can buy fractional shares, but it's just not, psychologically doesn't, you're not as much fun buying zero point 0.5 of a stock versus actually owning the full stock. So now you could at least, if you want to put $1,000, you would at least own 10 stocks at $100
I
of net.
must admit, before this, I didn't even realize they'd split. So I knew they were going to split, but I didn't know they had already split. But yeah, no, interesting to see for Netflix for sure. I'm going to bring up Snapchat now,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and
We
then you can pick one afterwards. I'm going to bring up Snapchat since no one else is bringing up anything at the moment. But Snapchat for me at the moment it's quite an interesting one. We talk about asymmetrical bets all the time, and this one from a risk to reward ratio just seems quite interesting. If that makes sense. It's an opportunity here. So, for
Yes.
example, I draw like a position here, just hypothetically. This is not one I'm in. I am in a position, but it's a lot more detailed than that. So potentially you could have a 20% stop loss, which sounds ridiculous, but if you start off small with a smaller position, that's more than doable. But the upside potential is about 100%, um, up to the kind of most recent highs, well, not recent highs, but highs of 2024, that kind of area here around kind of 17, $16. Um, they've got something on the pipeline. I think it's something to do with AR for virtual reality or something like that. So that's very interesting kind of for the future. But I think once they get through this trend line, we could really see a bit of a push into this stock. And the last earnings report wasn't that bad at all. So
Hmm.
there's something moving here.
Hmm.
Whether they get bought by someone else potentially, I know they've had that happen before in the past, or tried to happen before in the past. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Snapchat? Do you
I
believe
think
in this one? I don't use it, but yeah.
no, I don't use it either. I mean, it's been like many more than a decade I haven't even touched Snapchat. But I like it. If we can see that breakout from the trend line, I mean, we could see those highs. The way I would play, if instead of stocks, I would actually buy leaps.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Because
It's
first I
quite a
wanna,
cheap stock as well.
yeah, I mean, if I buy a leap for let's say $10, I'm only spending $250 on it,
Mm.
and my upside, you know, theoretically is unlimited. So if the stock runs up to $70, let's just say, I'll make a lot of money on that for just an investment of $250.
And that's why we talk about the kind of asymmetrical bets, is where you don't, the risk to reward is very much in your favor,
Yeah,
essentially. And we like that obviously in trading generally, let alone long term investing type situation. But yeah, I thought I'd bring that one up. It's quite interesting. It's a position that I'm in. This is not the position. I just drew that hypothetically, but yeah, I'm excited to see what happens in 2026. Of course, it could be a dud. It could come back down, trigger my stop loss, and make new lows. That's okay. That's trading. Um,
no, but the whole point of finding asymmetrical bets is to find stocks that are down in the dumps,
mm, exactly.
right? When the general sentiment of institutional investors, traders, and retail investors and traders are against the stock, that's when those are asymmetrical bets. Because if everybody is agreeing on the that is going to go up, then it's not an asymmetrical bet. And
Yeah,
then you
exactly.
will be proven wrong many times. It's not that you will always be right.
We
So
had Uber at the beginning of the year, didn't we? Well, you had more than I did.
yeah,
And look at it now. Yeah, doing
exactly.
really well.
Like I
Um,
bought Uber back in the 60s. Sorry, yeah, 60s. And you can actually go back to my channel and look at Uber. I had been trading Uber. This is 25. So 2024, I think October I made a video. September or October I made a video that said Uber is, it's too cheap to ignore. Now, now I know Tesla fanboys always said, hey, Uber is going to go out of business. But seems like now they're also coming with a AV, autonomous vehicle.
okay. Um, it was up at highs of 55% for the year, and it's now sitting around kind of 38%
Yeah.
for the year. So yeah, it's a very good
Yeah. I mean,
percentage return for the year.
so if you compare with the AI data center stocks, they have made 100%, 200%, but not every stock has to make that much, right? And those are not in your control. But we saw a clear trend that, hey, this is an asymmetrical bet from a Uber standpoint when it's trading in 60s, that it's too cheap to ignore, and they bring a lot of revenue, right? Those are the fundamentals say completely different story. um yeah, so you touched Uber, right? Let's pick another one, from asymmetrical standpoint. ASML is no longer asymmetrical. Let's see. Mm, let's pick Duolingo. I know people hate Duolingo. Duol.
I said, yeah, but I just want to have a little pointer towards UiPath as well. Maybe we can look at that next.
Yeah, yeah, go for it after this.
Um, but Duolingo, yeah. So wow, that's a big drop.
Yeah, that's a big drop. And
This must be AI related, right? As in
I
AI is destroying it slightly.
so AI is part of it, but I think the reason for the decline is the way the company is switching the strategy from focusing on revenue to actually focusing on increasing the user base. So if you hear the CEO of the company, he is focusing more on getting more users on the platform and not focus on actually making more money as of right now, because that's what they are trying to. They are doing this sort of A/B testing in their experiments on how to have a bigger chunk down the road. um, I don't know what you believe in, what your personal opinion is about Duolingo, but I think this would be an asymmetrical bet. Um,
I mean, I've used it because I'm learning Spanish at the moment. I'm doing classes now instead of an app, like physical in-person classes. But I liked the app, and it was very comprehensive. But I saw a lot of the same thing. Now I get learning languages is a lot of the same thing, but a lot of the same thing is also boring.
mhm.
So they need to mix it up a little bit. I think a bit more. But I don't have it anymore, so I can't say what the performance is like at the moment, essentially. But I mean, your point is very valid here because of the drop it's had. Um, this is the monthly chart alone, and we're kind of coming back down to 50 moving average support, and you can see there's a lot of resistance back in the early days and lots of support kind of in where's that middle of well the whole of 2024, really lots of support there. So this would be a good time to kind of get in if you were bullish on Duolingo for the future, especially from a logical point of view, which it seems like you are. So yeah, I like your points there, and potentially even though I may not like it, it may be still a good money maker.
Yeah.
Because there's not much to lose. I mean, we speak that quite a lot on this channel. So hypothetically, if we were to get in, here, we would lose a maximum probably if we had it behind the lows. It's a 20% loss, of course, but you do have upside of around well over 100%. So yeah, interesting one.
Yeah. Next, you want to do path, right?
Yes, we'll do path. Yeah. I didn't actually see the earnings report, but I know that it went well because they're up 25% the day after. Did you see the report? I was kind of hoping you did, but
Let me see. I actually did not. I've been recovering from my trip.
of course. Is it got any general numbers there? Let's have a look at some general numbers.
Let me pull it up.
There's lots of people calling for this as like this is an obvious.
Yes, so their guide.
Future
So
play.
what happened was that they had their revenues rose 15.9% year over year, and the company is expected to earn an adjusted 15 cents per share. Looking ahead, UiPath expects the fourth quarter revenue to be between 462 to 467, and they're what's this thing? So they're expecting they're delivering an ARR of 1.78 billion, which will be 11% up year over year. So their ARR is going up. Their revenue rose up 15%. And what else did they say? And so this is the key line. They're saying the enterprises are accelerating their AI and automation strategies, and they are looking for a unified platform rather than standalone tools. Now, this I would agree with, because pretty much every SaaS software now claims to have AI features. And generally, for an enterprise, you don't want every single department to have 5 sets of tool doing 5 different things. You would prefer to have things consolidated under a bigger umbrella. So a software like UiPath can provide that. Now, AI is a thing, and enterprises are having honest conversations about AI. They know it's going to disrupt, and they want to get ahead. And I'm talking from I work for more conservative industry than more a tech industry, which is much more forward looking, and they adapt things much faster. So if conservative industries are now looking at AI seriously, it imagine the forward looking companies, or forward companies that actually adopt technologies much faster.
Do you reckon there's anyone else that could do that as well, apart from Path?
Oh yeah, there are
Off the
many.
top of your head.
So from a data standpoint, you'll have Snowflake. You have Datadog.
And all of these stocks have struggled this year, as you mentioned many times.
Yeah, and they have been struggling for a while now, and the reason was the enterprise spend on these. And then you have Salesforce. You have another one.
GitLab is one or not?
GitLab, I don't know, man. I mean, that has been the worst investment. Apart from Boeing, that has been my second worst investment in a while. That stock has been dead for like 2 years. Like I'm down
Yeah,
like
it's not moving, is it?
yeah, I'm stuck with that stock. Can't get rid of it fast enough.
So on the screen here, we've got net income for UiPath in the last quarter. You can see the reaction of the 25% increase is probably mainly because of the net income growth there. So it's very, very significant. They have been net income positive in the past, and we've probably seen that with the spikes in the stocks. If you matched up with the chart, you can probably see that. But this one especially is definitely something to admire. So yeah, that's obviously the reason why that's gone up so nicely. Going back to the technical level, then this is the weekly chart. I drew this line here. It's not that concrete, but it's a bit more of a generic trend line almost. Obviously, we do have the kind of pop out here, plenty of price action out of it.
Mhm.
But these points seem to match. I thought maybe it would be an interesting point to bring up here. I did actually start a position at this circle, and I pointed it out a few weeks ago on my X profile, and obviously subsequently went into it and looking pretty good at the moment. But what I'm really looking for is kind of a cemented breakout of this trend line, which we kind of have, but we need a couple more weeks of price action for it to kind of confirm that. But there's no reason why this can't kind of slowly make its way back up to 25, which would be incredible return. That would be 100% return on my investment near enough. So yeah, that would be nice to see.
Yeah, no. I actually also have a position on path with call options, leap call options.
Hmm, awesome.
17 for 2028 January.
Okay, so they must be looking pretty good, at least at the moment, right?
At this moment, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, assuming if this whole AI trend, the agentic trend is going to play out, UiPath is going to get a good chunk of it.
Hmm,
So
awesome. One to watch for 2026, as we've said many times actually on this session here today. Should we leave it there for today?
yeah, I mean, if
We'll
there
wrap
is
it
no
up.
other request, we can do a early wrap up today.
Yeah, we're doing an early wrap up today. We're getting kind of back into the swing of things. It's been really fun. We looked at some really interesting stocks today. One of those stocks that one of those sessions where we've kind of had stocks on our mind, but haven't necessarily brought them up in the past because obviously we like to kind of concentrate on the audience, etc. But we've touched on stocks like Path, as you can see in front of us today. We touched on Uber for a bit, didn't we? What else did we touch on? I can't even remember. Um, double it
Duolingo.
up.
Yeah.
Duolingo, we've got Snapchat as well, we touched on as well. So yeah, there's plenty of stocks out there to have a look at. RIVN, we spoke about earlier as well. Yeah, awesome. We'll move on back to let's get our faces back up on the screen here. We have been a little bit rusty, but we will be back here once again, obviously next weekend at 1 p.m. on the Sunday. And yes, the football will probably be on as well, the American football. That's just how it is. You know, it's almost 7 p.m. here in the UK, and
Is
I've
it
got
is
to get ready for
it
work.
football or is the soccer or like what are we talking
I
about?
think it's probably American football.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
American football. Because when you say football, sometimes my brain goes towards the football, the soccer.
yeah, the foot to the ball. The foot
Yeah.
meets the ball, so that's why it's called football. But yeah,
We have
we
next
won't
year.
get into that discussion.
We have FIFA next year in the US. So
Yeah, no, I'm
that's
looking
gonna be
forward to that. If we had the World Cup draw on Friday, don't know if you saw
yeah,
that.
yeah. How do you like your draw though?
Pretty good. Yeah, I think we've got Croatia, Panama, and someone else. So
You-
yeah.
It's, so no problem for UK, right?
Well, on paper, yeah, it should be fair. It should be fine. But we know they always like to make it difficult, uh, as many countries do. But yeah, no, it's been fun once again today. If you do, if you're generous, then maybe subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. Massive thank you to Wolf as well for launching the platform. We really, really appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you, of course. Obviously, I think that's kind of it. What else are we going to say? Have I forgotten something, Kay?
No, I that's it, man. It's been a while. We're glad to be back. Yeah. We'll see you
Yeah,
guys next week and hopefully we'll get more tickers.
yeah. No, perfect. We've well said. I mean, trade safe out there. We've got FOMC on Wednesday, so it's always a volatile time around that area. It's probably about 1 or 2 hours before the end of the market on Wednesday. So just be aware of that, of course. But apart from that, yep, trade safe, everyone. And we'll see you next week at 1 p.m. on YouTube and X. Take
Take
care,
care.
everyone. Bye bye.